When I was driving home from a late-night shift, exhausted and lost in thought. As I crossed the old highway, my car sputtered and died. I got out to take a look, and that's when I saw her, a woman in a long, white dress, standing in the middle of the road. Her eyes were black as coal, and her presence seemed to draw the life out of me. I tried to run, but my legs were frozen in place, and then she vanished. I thought it was just my imagination playing tricks on me, but as I turned to get back in my car, I heard a whisper in my ear, "You'll never leave this place." I shrugged it off as the wind, but deep down, I knew something was off. And that's when the real horror began. At first it was small things, doors creaking open and shut, strange noises in the night, and a feeling of being watched all the time. But soon the presence grew stronger. I'd see her out of the corner of my eye, the woman in white, her eyes fixed on me with an unspeakable malevolence. She'd whisper my name, her voice like a knife cutting through my soul. I'd try to ignore it, but the voice would get louder, more insistent. And then the visions started. I'd see terrible things, bodies twisted in agony, faces contorted in terror. I knew I was being haunted, but I didn't know why. One night, I woke up to find her standing over me, her eyes blazing with an otherworldly fury. She reached out a hand, and I felt a chill run down my spine, and then everything went black. When I came to, I was alone in my bed, but the horror didn't end there. The presence continued to haunt me, its power growing stronger every day. I knew I had to escape, but I was trapped in a living nightmare, with no escape from the ghostly entity that haunted me. The ancient, sprawling library was said to contain forbidden knowledge, hidden away in dusty tomes and crumbling scrolls. Scholars whispered about the cursed texts, said to drive men mad with their dark secrets. As I delved deeper into the stacks, the air grew thick with the scent of decay and forgotten knowledge. I uncovered a tome bound in black leather, adorned with strange symbols that seemed to shift and writhe in the light. As I opened the book, the words crawled off the page, whispering dark secrets in my ear. The library around me grew dim, the shadows twisting into grotesque forms that seemed to watch me with cold, dead eyes. I tried to flee, but the words on the page seemed to hold me in place, their dark magic wrapping around my mind like a shroud. The library grew darker, the shadows deepening into an abyss of madness, as I realized I was trapped in a living nightmare, forever bound to the cursed text. The eerie, abandoned Carnival on the outskirts of town had been a source of fascination for years. Rumors swirled about the tragic accident that had closed it down, and the strange happenings that occurred after dark. As I explored the rickety booths and rusting attractions, the sound of Calliope music drifted through the air, growing louder with each step. I stumbled upon a hall of mirrors, where reflections twisted and distorted, revealing grotesque visions that seemed all too real. Suddenly, the lights flickered and the music stopped. I was trapped in a maze of glass and steel, surrounded by the eerie silence of a place where joy had turned to terror. The mirrors seemed to ripple, as if something was emerging from the other side. I tried to flee, but the reflections pursued me, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. I knew I was doomed, trapped in a funhouse of horrors, where the laughter of the damned echoed through the corridors, and the carnival's dark secrets would haunt me forever. The isolated research station on the frozen tundra was supposed to be a temporary home for scientists studying the effects of climate change. But as the blizzard outside intensified, the team realized they were trapped, with no escape from the creeping sense of dread that permeated the station. As the storm raged on, strange noises echoed through the corridors, creaks, groans, and whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. Equipment malfunctioned, and strange symbols etched themselves into the walls. I tried to call for help, but the radio was dead, and the phone lines were cut. One by one, my colleagues vanished, leaving behind only their research notes, filled with cryptic warnings and madness-inducing theories. I was left alone, facing an ancient evil that had awoken in the frozen wasteland outside. The presence closed in, its icy breath on my skin, as I realized I was the last one left to face the horror that lurked beyond the storm. The old, creepy mansion had been abandoned for decades, its grandeur and beauty slowly being consumed by the passing of time. The once lush gardens were overgrown, the sound of crickets and the rustling of leaves the only signs of life. As I stepped inside, a chill ran down my spine. The air was thick with the scent of decay and rot. I ventured deeper, my footsteps echoing off the walls. Suddenly, I heard a faint whisper, "You shouldn't be here." The voice was soft, melancholic, but sent shivers down my spine. I tried to flee, but the doors slammed shut, trapping me. The whispering grew louder, more urgent. I saw shadowy figures flitting around the edges of my vision, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. The artifacts on the walls began to move, surrounding me with a circle of darkness. I felt a presence closing in around me, its cold breath on the back of my neck. I knew I was doomed, trapped in a living nightmare with no escape from the vengeful spirits that haunted the mansion. I had always been fascinated by the old mansion on the hill, rumored to be built on an ancient burial ground. One night, I decided to sneak in and explore its labyrinthine halls. As I crept deeper into the mansion, I stumbled upon a room filled with ancient artifacts. Suddenly, I heard a faint chanting, "You should not have come here." I tried to flee, but the doors slammed shut, trapping me. The chanting grew louder, more menacing. I saw shadowy figures flitting around the edges of my vision, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. I tried to scream, but my voice was silenced by some unseen force. The artifacts began to move on their own, surrounding me with a circle of darkness. I felt a presence closing in around me, its cold breath on the back of my neck. I knew I was doomed, trapped in a living nightmare with no escape from the vengeful spirits of the ancient dead. I had always been drawn to the old abandoned mine on the outskirts of town. Rumors whispered of a tragedy that had occurred deep within its tunnels. One day, I decided to explore its depths, despite the warnings from the locals. As I ventured deeper into the mine, the air grew thick with the scent of decay. I stumbled upon an old journal belonging to a miner named John. The entry spoke of a terrible presence that haunted the mine, a presence that drove men mad with fear. Suddenly, I heard the sound of pickaxes striking stone, echoing through the tunnels. I followed the sound, my heart racing with anticipation. That's when I saw them, the ghosts of miners, their eyes black as coal, their faces twisted in terror. They surrounded me, their pickaxes raised, ready to strike. I tried to flee, but the tunnels seemed to shift and twist, trapping me. The presence grew stronger, its malevolent force suffocating me. I knew I was doomed, trapped in the mine with the vengeful spirits of the miners who had met their fate deep beneath the earth. I'll never forget the night I encountered the vengeful spirit of the baby. Growing up, I had always been fascinated by the abandoned asylum on the outskirts of town. Rumors swirled that it was haunted by the ghosts of former patients, but I never believed them. My friends and I would dare each other to explore the decaying building, but I never had the courage to venture inside. That was until my grandmother passed away, leaving me a mysterious charm and a warning: never enter the asylum lest you face the darkness within. Her words only fueled my curiosity. One fateful night, I decided to explore the asylum, charm in hand. As I ventured deeper, I stumbled upon a nursery filled with decrepit toys and a single, eerie crib. Suddenly, I felt an intense urge to harm the babies that once occupied this room. I tried to flee, but an unseen force held me back. That's when I saw it, a ghostly infant hovering above the crib, its eyes fixed on me with a malevolent glare. I tried to escape, but the doors slammed shut, trapping me. The ghost began to whisper my name, its voice like a cold breeze. I felt an icy presence closing in. Just as all hope seemed lost, I remembered my grandmother's charm and clutched it tight. The ghost vanished and I fled the asylum, but the horror didn't end there. I began experiencing strange visions, babies everywhere, their eyes black as coal, their cries piercing my mind. I realized the ghost had attached itself to me, feeding on my darkest thoughts. Desperate for answers, I sought out the local shaman, who revealed the asylum's dark past. A tragic event had occurred there, involving a baby's death and a cover-up by the hospital staff. The ghost was a manifestation of the collective guilt and anger of the former patients. The shaman performed a ritual to cleanse me, but the visions never fully disappeared. To this day, I sense the ghost's presence, a constant reminder of the horrors I witnessed. I'm left wondering, did I truly escape, or did the ghost simply retreat, waiting for its next victim? In the sleepy town of Ashwood, nestled in the heart of the Whispering Woods, a legendary evil lurked in the shadows. The townsfolk whispered tales of an ancient entity, known only as the Devourer, that fed on their darkest fears. I was a skeptic, a journalist seeking to debunk the myths. But when I stumbled upon an ancient tome hidden in the local library, I unleashed a horror beyond my wildest nightmares. The book, bound in human skin and written in blood, contained the dark history of Ashwood. The town's founders had made a pact with the Devourer, trading their souls for prosperity. But the entity had twisted their fears, manifesting them as grotesque creatures that roamed the woods. As I delved deeper into the book, the lines between reality and nightmare blurred. I became trapped in a living hell, pursued by the manifestations of my own darkest fears. The townsfolk, once friendly and welcoming, now seemed sinister and complicit in the horror. I discovered that the only way to escape was to confront the Devourer itself. But as I stood before the ancient entity, I realized that my fears were its sustenance, and I was the main course. In the neon-lit streets of New Erebus, a city of eternal darkness, I uncovered a sinister plot that threatened to consume my soul. As a former hacker turned private investigator, I had seen my fair share of darkness, but nothing prepared me for the horrors that lurked in the shadows of this forsaken city. My investigation began with a mysterious client who hired me to retrieve a valuable data package from the city's most powerful corporation, Omicron Innovations. But as I delved deeper into the case, I discovered that the package contained a terrible secret. Omicron was harvesting human souls to power their revolutionary AI technology. I soon found myself trapped in a desperate race against time, pursued by Omicron's ruthless agents and demonic creatures that lurked in the shadows. My only allies were a ragtag group of rebels fighting against Omicron's tyranny. As I fought to survive and uncover the truth, I realized that New Erebus was a city of eternal darkness, where the boundaries between reality and hell were blurred. And I was the only one who could stop the horrors that lurked within.